Well, we need to check in on the son of Donald Trump Jr.'s reaction to the historic week that we've had. One of the things I've already told you in past segments is that MAGA really is having a hard time, in a general sense, we've seen this, handling Vice President Kamala Harris's candidacy. But specifically, the strength, the compellingness, Republicans showing up to voice their support for Kamala Harris, and the success of the Democratic National Convention and the polling boost that it seems to be giving to Kamala Harris is another thing that MAGA is really struggling to deal with. And there's a lot of panic about that. And we covered that in the form of someone attacking a television, in the form of a Newsmax host saying, I don't think we're going to win this. And now we'll talk about Donald Trump Jr.'s panic. And as is always the case, his reactions to politics are always unique. And he has a strange vibe every time we check in on his podcast. And today was no exception.
Try to get a grip on reality. And guys, this is one more that you have to check out because I literally feel like I'm Jim Carrey in The Truman Show on this one. A speaker, I think it was Monday night, the DNC, it was maybe Tuesday, literally got on a stage and said, if Donald Trump gets elected, he may weaponize the DOJ against his political rivals. He may actually have the FBI come knocking on their doors. Trump may actually do that. That's the biggest threat to democracy ever.
If you're not already and you appreciate this show and you want to support it in an easy, free, simple way, clicking that subscribe button makes all the difference. Thank you so much. Back to the video.
They said that with a straight face. Honestly, guys, I'm not even sure if they know. I don't even know if they know what's happening. I don't even know that they know that they've literally been doing it. Who's weaponized the DOJ more than the Harris-Biden administration? The FBI's come knocking on our door. A lot of conservatives have gotten that knock, not a lot of liberals.
Not a lot of liberals.
How many people has the left thrown in jail because they're the political opposition?
Zero in the United States would be my estimate.
How many people has this DOJ under the Biden-Harris regime gone after? And they're worried about us doing it to them? They're literally doing it with impunity. And I'm not even sure they know it. That's how deranged they truly are. Check this out and see for yourself.
And then he shows someone saying something uncontroversial, which is that indeed Trump has threatened openly to inflict pain on those who are his political opponents and weaponizing the Department of Justice against them. And remember, I need to just keep giving you the context and then I'll play more of this. Remember that behind the scenes, Trump is freaking out. Report after report about him melting down, lashing out. I'm sure lashing out at Donald Trump Jr. And so that plays into the desperation of that sort of talking point. That's what you're pretending like is deranged, is people just quoting Trump, who has said that he would ask his attorney general to indict a political opponent. The reason he's pretending like it's absurd is because Trump got himself into legal trouble. They don't understand that, yes, former presidents, if they break the law, they can be prosecuted. And if you found credible evidence of criminality of a Democrat, if Biden leaves office and you could find it, then he could be prosecuted as well. That's absolutely within our moral and logical framework. Absolutely, Don Jr. But the fact that a jury of Trump's peers, after due process properly given to Trump, determined that Trump broke the law, 34 felonies, is not proof of some conspiracy against him. And you have failed over and over again, which is why you never cite specifics, to link in any way Biden or Harris to Trump's criminality. Whereas Trump even joked in a clip we've covered many times that his attorney general would say, well, what am I supposed to indict him for? He said, I don't know, do something. That was the quote-unquote joke. But then he talked about retribution. He was asked, I think, by Dr. Phil, you don't have time to get revenge. And he said, well, I'd be justified to, or sometimes revenge takes time. And Sean Hannity begged him over and over, please, you say you're not going to abuse your power. And Trump said, well, I mean, based on what they've done, I would have it in my complete right. He would never confirm that he wouldn't abuse power. Whereas you haven't brought forward a shred of evidence Biden has abused power at all. So that's the difference. And this desperate attempt to do sort of projection is not working. And in Project 2025, as much as Trump tries to distance himself from it, what was being discussed in the clip that was played of a state representative talking at the DNC was in Project 2025. It talks about giving the president more direct control over the DOJ. Part of why we know that Biden has not involved himself in the federal prosecutions of Trump is because of that not unsaid rule, but the norm that presidents stay out of the DOJ's business, and the DOJ acts pretty independently. And that's what Biden has respected. Whereas Trump has made very clear in Project 2025, his allies have made clear they want the unitary executive theory to be implemented where the president has much more control. Here's more.
Let's just say it's not good, folks. But when they try to make a difference between Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, even though she's part of this administration, even though this administration's own press secretary said there is no light between Joe Biden and Kamala Harris on...
Why can't he ever say Biden's name normally? Biden. You remember? You remember this moment? Let's see.
Joe Biden is the guy they're going to call at 3.
Joe Biden is the guy they're going to call. Yeah.
Okay. Joe Biden, even though she's part of this administration, even though this administration's own press secretary said there is no light between Joe Biden and Kamala Harris on the...
Joe Biden. Sorry, I know that's not important. I just find it so... It's quirky. It's good. I admire it about Don Jr.
Issues, they're trying to tell you that now she's magically going to change. She's not pushing Joe to do any of these things now, again, because she has no intention of actually doing any of them. She just will tell you whatever it takes to get your vote. Kamala, the chameleon. She's whatever she needs to be to get that vote, and then she'll go and be the radical that she's always been. Guys, this isn't all, though.
So I want to address that. I've had some of y'all asking about this. We've heard a lot from MAGA folks that it's absurd Kamala Harris is talking about promises for a future term because she's vice president now. Why wouldn't she just have accomplished everything? And why hasn't she done all these things? And why? So she can't promise anything because she should have done it all. First of all, we'll get to how that's triple ridiculous in terms of the talking point. But first of all, you could apply the same thing to Trump. Trump says all these things that he's going to do that he had already promised to do last time he was president. So, okay, that contradiction's there. But also, when she's talking about going after corporate price gouging, the Biden administration's been doing that. And she wants to do it more. And she has different initiatives she would want to implement. And she would have more power if she were the actual president on that front. When she talks about doing things on the border, if she gets a Democratic House, she could do it because Republicans in the House are currently blocking the border security bill. So that one is not one they can say, well, why don't you do it now? Because you're blocking it. That's why. When they get mad at her, I guess, for healthcare things, she talks about lowering prescription drug costs. Historic lowering of prescription drug costs under Biden-Harris. So a lot of this is things she wants to do building on what's been done. And because we're in this environment, and I was feeling as I was prepping for today's show, I don't know if it's because I'm still sort of sick, I was extra irritable and I was listening to this podcast and I was so annoyed by just all the same things, you know? Crime's high. No, it's not. They cause inflation. Stop saying that. Let's have a serious adult conversation about what contributed to inflation. The border, you know, they opened it. And it's just this merry-go-round we're on. And it doesn't matter how many times these things get addressed. And we can't have just serious, like I said, adult conversations. Border stuff is complicated, and there are solutions, and we should talk about those. And then we can have debates about what's best. Crime is plummeting. So clearly things are you know, being done well on that front. But Let's figure out how we do it more. But whenever we don't live in the same reality, it just becomes so difficult. So then a lot of the reactions to these things have to be so simple, right? That's wrong, debunked, you're whack, move on. Instead of getting into something more comprehensive. But if the big headlines are lies, then why even talk about the article, for lack of a better analogy? And so that's what I'm feeling about this. It's just sort of irritating. But it is the case that the Biden-Harris administration has just gotten a lot of things done, whether you like them or not. It's just true, okay? Look at the would it be the National Archives? Is that where they would record all the different things that have been passed? Look at Congress.gov, probably. A lot of stuff has been getting done, and a lot of it's really good that a lot of people will like, and then we can do more, all right? Now, Don Jr. also posted this, very excited about it.
Survivors of crime.
No
to
way.
remind them, no one should be
way.
able to fight alone.
Dude, Kamala Harris will never be my president! Whoa!
Don Jr. thought that was fun. We talked about that already. A good example, by the way, of the probably, you know what I'm about to say is less interesting. Let's skip over that and let me show you. Don Jr. said that Kamala Harris is a chameleon. And we've been hearing this. He was meaning it about her views. She'll say whatever in any different place. But where that chameleon term came from, J.D. Vance used it first to describe Kamala Harris when he was asked about Trump calling Kamala Harris out, calling her out for daring to identify as both black and Indian. And so that's when J.D. Vance first used that. He went, oh no, I think the point Trump's making is that she's a chameleon, right? So that's where it got popularized. So because of that being linked to this topic, let me do a little teaser for a Trump supporter video that will be coming out tomorrow, as of when this segment's coming out. On Sunday, this full Trump supporter video will come out, where I asked Trump supporters in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, about the Trump questioning of Kamala Harris's race.
Made this comment and then has doubled down on it about Kamala Harris turning black. What was your response to that? Is that stuff you approve of, or you're like, stop Trump, stop saying stuff like that?
Well, she's always like switching, you know?
Racist?
Racist? No, she's always switching.
Kamala Harris turned black?
Yeah, that's what they say, yeah.
I mean, she's kind of black, she's kind of Indian, a little bit mixed in between. I don't really give a fuck, to be honest.
Kamala never questioned Trump's race.
I mean, because how can she? He clearly is Caucasian, but she's not black. She's only black now.
Yeah, so you'll get to see the full thing, like I said. Tomorrow, Sunday, quite the video. But she's a chameleon for that, because she's both black and Indian, and that's unacceptable. To be fair, I don't know why it would be, to their argument, if you want to call it that, they're saying that she never identified as black until recently. That's not true, but that's what they say justifies questioning this. But I think a lot of people are just genuinely discombobulated about the concept of biraciality. Nope. But I think is where I'm coming in at. But I think genuinely a lot of them are just confused by the concept of being biracial. Let me know what you thought of that. I know that was sort of a hodgepodge segment, but let me know in the comments. And you can support this show by clicking the join button below.